Hello and thanks for watching. I'm Jesse Mitchell in New York, and this is CBS News Roundup. Here are the top stories. President Trump signs an executive order calling for the Department of Education to be shut down. CBS News has obtained a list of migrants deported to a jail in El Salvador. Some of them have no criminal records. And more Israeli strikes across Gaza hit multiple homes, killing dozens of Palestinians. President Donald Trump is taking the first steps towards fulfilling his campaign promise to eliminate the Department of Education. The president has derided the department, saying it's wasteful and rife with liberal ideology. However, completely shutting it down is unlikely without approval from Congress, which created the Education Department in 1979. CBS's Erica Brown reports from the White House.
President Trump signed an executive order to begin the process of dismantling the Department of Education.
We're going to shut it down and shut it down as quickly as possible. It's doing us no good. We want to return our students to the states.
The administration says services such as student loans and Pell Grants will remain at the Department of Education for now.
They're going to be preserved in full and redistributed to various other agencies and departments.
But the president can't eliminate the department with the stroke of a pen. He'll need congressional approval to completely dissolve the agency.
The Democrats know it's right, and I hope they're going to be voting for it because ultimately it may come before them.
Shifting to immigration, the Trump administration continues its attacks on the federal judge who ordered a temporary halt to deportation flights of Venezuelan migrants after the president invoked a wartime law to deport them without due process. Judge James Boasberg said the government's filing Thursday in response to his deadline to answer questions was woefully insufficient and said the government has not successfully argued why the deportation flights continued even after his ruling to turn them around.
Well, I found it remarkable that any district judge has the authority to overrule the president's executive orders. And what basically he wanted us to do is turn planes around in midair full of terrorists and bring them back into the United States, which is just ridiculous. And we didn't do it.
Judge Boasberg ordered the Trump administration to provide an update on its filing. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
We have a follow-up to our story about one of those migrants deported by the Trump administration, a Venezuelan asylum seeker who has no criminal record and who his family says is not a gang member. It's believed he's now in that notoriously dangerous prison in El Salvador. We're hearing from an attorney who says dozens of Venezuelan migrants with no criminal records were also sent to that prison. CBS's Nancy Cordes has more on this developing story.
For many families, this list of 238 names obtained by CBS News is the first confirmation that their loved ones were indeed flown out of the U.S. last week and sent to the notorious Sicotte prison in El Salvador. This footage distributed by the Salvadoran government shows the men arriving at the prison shackled. Trump officials claim the men are violent criminals, most of them affiliated with the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, or TDA. But they've declined to release the evidence of that or the men's names.
You keep checking, and nothing.
Our colleague Lilia Luciano visited with Yohani Sanchez, who says she's been scouring prison video trying to make out if one of the men is her husband, a 26-year-old barber who came to the U.S. 2 years ago seeking asylum. He was detained during a routine check-in with ICE last month. A CBS producer informed Sanchez that her husband's name, Franco Caraballo, does appear on the list. She told us she feels terrible, sad, and desperate. And that her 4-year-old daughter doesn't stop asking about her father, whose deportation order confirms he has no criminal record in the U.S., and Venezuelan authorities say he has no record there either.
Why do you think someone like that should be sent to a maximum security prison?
I'm sorry, I'm confused by the question. Is it your position that a member of Tren de Aragua who is in our United States illegally should be allowed to commit crimes limitlessly until such time as that individual is incarcerated?
Again, at this point, there is no public evidence that he is a gang member. And now a U.S. district judge is expressing frustration, saying that information is being withheld from him as well. Judge Jeb Boasberg described a 6-paragraph filing by the U.S. government as woefully insufficient and said the government has evaded its obligations to answer his questions about these controversial deportation flights. Nancy Cordes, CBS News, the White House.
In the Middle East, air raid sirens blared across Israel Thursday as incoming rockets sent people scrambling. Hamas released this video showing, it says, rockets being fired toward the Israeli city of Tel Aviv. This follows another day of intense Israeli airstrikes in Gaza, killing at least 85 Palestinians. CBS's Rami Inocencio reports from Tel Aviv.
Waves of Israeli airstrikes killed dozens of Gazans, according to 3 hospitals up and down the Strip, for a third straight night since the ceasefire was shattered. Body after body loaded onto ambulances and carts in the north, barely functioning hospitals inundated with the wounded, wards filling up with the dead. Israel's military said it has restarted ground operations in central Gaza, retaking a key corridor dividing the north and south of the Strip, warning Gazans to evacuate areas turning into combat zones. Around 500 people have reportedly been killed since Israel's shock airstrikes before dawn Tuesday. More than 100 of those believed to be children. That number rising as desperate survivors find bodies in the rubble of devastated homes. These men working by hand to retrieve this little boy.
They can't take being thrown 50 feet out of a concrete building or having a concrete building fall on top of them. The level of carnage is indescribable.
American doctor Mark Perlmutter is volunteering at Gaza's Al-Aqsa Hospital.
Open abdominal wounds, open head wounds. There's children with their brains exposed. This doesn't have to exist.
And Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, has a message for all of Gaza to return the hostages and expel Hamas, the alternative being total destruction and devastation. However, collective punishment, that is a violation of the Geneva Conventions and deemed a war crime. Rami Inocencio, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
If you're scheduled on a flight to Britain on Friday, you may want to check with the airline. That's because London's Heathrow Airport has a significant power outage due to a fire at an electrical substation. And officials say the airport will be closed until late Friday night. Heathrow is the second busiest airport in the world for international passenger traffic. Straight ahead on CBS News Roundup, there may be an invisible danger hiding in your vacation rental unit. We'll show you how to check.